start, and Calvin Smith, they'll make a race of it. Here
Latney's also there. Calvin Smith.
Latney looked like he nailed down second, and Calvin, and if that time holds up, Roger, 9.99. The wind has been under the allowable limit for most of the athletes tonight. That is superb time.
Official time, 9 and 97/100ths of a second, as Mel Latney came over to give him a high five along with Ron Brown.
Roger, he's not known for a good starter. He got out poorly then. Imagine if he had gotten out well. He is in great shape during this European season. That ties the fastest time for this distance ever run in history at sea level. Look at him begin to lift. He still hasn't got the lead yet. Emmett King running well. Mel Latney in green. Ron Brown, the football player, inside. And it's Calvin Smith. The longer the race goes, the better he becomes. Outstanding time, 9 and 97/100ths of a second. Just 4/100ths of a second off his world record he set at altitude. That is probably as fast a performance as man has ever seen.
The United States with the top 4 finishers in this event. As you take a look at Latney right there along with Calvin Smith. Latney, the green with the wristlets on his hands. And what a competitor he has been through the years.
That man helped Herschel Walker become a better sprinter than any other athlete. He worked with him. He went to Georgia with him at the same time. I'd like to add...
We talked earlier, and you said who your dangers were. A fantastic time, under 10 seconds, 9.97, 1.6 wind assisted. Feel good?
Yes, I feel good. I've been wanting to get another time lower than 10 flat to go along with my world record, to show people that it just really wasn't a one-day thing, that I know I'm capable of running just as well on any given day.
That's right, and I mean, it's a low-altitude thing.
Yes, it is, and I'm just very happy that I ran that good time.
Now, if you can remember the 100 meters, tell us how you started.
Well, I feel that I had a pretty decent start. I don't feel that I came out of the blocks first, but I think I came pretty much right there with the group. And I think that I just started lifting my knees higher, and I just started accelerating very well. And at the last part of the race, I just pumped my arms very hard, and I think, that sort of helped me move a little faster.
Were the nearest people to you? Where'd you get to them? 80 meters or?
Well, I think around 80 meters, I was right there with everyone, and then maybe the last 200 meters, so it sort of eased away from them a little bit.
I tell you what, it was good we had a talk earlier on, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It helped out a lot. It gave me a little more incentive to run a little faster.
Now, what about a relay and a further 100 meters?
Well, it's hard to say about
Calvin to you.
I love the fan. They have been behind all the athletes, and they really give you the incentive that you really want to run and give them a good show.
You gave them tremendous incentive tonight, and you feel easy, relaxed now?
Yes, I do.
Well, I'm partial towards the distance races because the pain in this race really lasts for about 100 meters, the last 100, and the race is over quickly. The key thing is to go out at a relatively even pace. Now, I'm not talking about 23.5 and 23.5, but give yourself an extra 4 or 5 100ths or 4 or 5 tenths of a second off your all-time best for 200 meters. Don't run it at your race pace. Somebody will hand you a piano in the last 100 yards.
It's known as the old piano being dropped on your back. On the outside, Aldo Conti of France. Senator Nixon, Willie Smith. What about number 117?
Alonzo Babbers is in this race. He's run 45.17. He goes to the Air Force Academy, no less, and probably is the least well-known of anybody in the race here, Roger. He's been running well in Europe, though.
400 meters, Group A. And Burt Cameron of Jamaica, he is wearing number 111.
That's Erwin Skamrel and lanes from West Germany out there pushing the lead early. Now on his outside, beginning to power by him, is Burt Cameron.
Skamrel is tying up, though, and he is going to drop back.
Look how even everybody is, and on the inside, Cameron is tying up. He has not lost a race this year. Alonzo Babers.
Oh, he wins it. Alonzo Babers wins this 400-meter competition. Very close between Burt Cameron and Walter McCoy per second. But
what a tremendous performance. I mean, he is least known, and I'm sure his teammates are proud of him. He led off our relay in Helsinki, the 4x400. Look at him come on now. His best previous time, 45 and 17 100ths of a second. A student at the Air Force Academy. And what a
200, I feel that it's going to be very tough because there's going to be Carl, Mel Latney, who I feel that would be my toughest competition. And also James Butler. I'm not sure what kind of condition he's in at the present time because he's been hurt. But Carl has
run a very good time. He have hit the 19 range, which is very good. So, and Mel is running around 20.2, around the range that I have been running. So it's going to be very hard. I plan to run a very good turn the way that I ran in Helsinki and try to hold on at the end. And I feel that I have a very good chance of winning.
Calvin Smith is a force to be reckoned with in the 100 and 200 meters, and a very exciting competition. Very exciting for the United States, because when you have so many quality athletes, they drive one another, Larry, and they make each other do great things.
They do, Roger. Calvin Smith and Emmett King train together at the University of Alabama. Watch the start. See who gets out well. Calvin Smith is a great turn runner. Watch him in the middle. Right there you see him. He's running the turn well. Where is Carl Lewis? He's almost beside
Yes, he is.
Lewis.
Calvin Smith, he is the smaller of the two men. Calvin Smith of the United States in front of Lewis. Calvin Smith, the winner. Carl Lewis second. It looked as though James Butler edged out Marty Crewley for the third spot. What a time there. 19 and 99 100ths of a second. Here it is now.
Watch the turn here. Calvin Smith.
And the American record by Rich Wohlholzer at 1:43 and 9 100ths of a second. The men's 800-meter competition here in Zurich. And what's the condition of Seb Coe? What's his status right now?
Well, he's the type of guy like Moses. If he's really not ready, he won't compete. And he's had some kind of an infection in his body, he says, and it has just kind of robbed him of his strength. Even though he's been running well, he's been running probably at 90 or 95% of his normal ability, Roger, and he's been losing his races. So he just decided to sit it out till he's healthy.
What's Wohlholzer doing these days?
I don't know where Rich is. That's a good question. If you hear us out there and you're watching Rick, give us a call or drop us a note. We'd love to know where the American record holder for this distance and a medalist in 1976 is. There's Hans-Peter Ferner in your screen. In red on the inside was James Robinson, our 5-time national champion. Santa Monica Track Club, Mr. David Mack.
Billy
number
Volbeck,
153.
also competing here. He's an outstanding performer.
Volbeck won the World Championships at this distance. Look at the rabbit on the outside. Probably go out and take them out. It's just a guess on my part. This event is so exciting. There are so many athletes now running 1 minute 44 seconds. That's running a 52-second quarter, Roger, and then running another one the same pace. It's amazing how strong and capable so many athletes have become. A few years ago, only 1 or 2 people ran 144. Now there's about a dozen.
There's not much difference anymore, it seems like, between the 800-meter runners and the 400-meter runners. They can really turn it on. The man out front, I believe, is Schneider, who is going to set the pace for this field, a very fine field. You mentioned James Robinson. He's an outstanding performer for the United States. He is in the red, sitting fourth right now.
Dave Mack in the orange shorts from the United States is there. Look at that split. 50 and 75 100ths of a second as the rabbit just clears off the track.
Schneider just gave it up after 400 meters. He got him out in good shape.
James Robinson running a smart race, I think. If he's going to have any chance to win, stay up near the pack. These guys are too good to try and kick from last, which he sometimes does.
Is that the Kenyan Diwa in front?
Yuma Ndiwa has run 1:44.20 in Munich just a couple of weeks before the World Championships, and is just a new find that they seem to turn out of Kenya.
Robinson now going by, and Mack on the outside. Mack in the orange shorts.
These are all kickers, Roger. All of them feel that they can outkick each other, which makes it interesting.
Here comes Volbeck on the outside. David Mack of the United States. Volbeck. 1-2. Can Volbeck catch him? Mack hangs
wins.
on.
Boy, that's fine performance for David Mack. He's gotten better every single year from Los Angeles, California. Oregon University graduate, NCAA champion in 1981.
Robinson finished fourth as Ndiwa of Kenya came on third. But Volbeck has to go around 3 people from the inside.
Well, you see, that's what happens. When you get kickers, they tend to bunch up in the front like that, and it's a factor you have to reckon with. He used the same tactic in the World Championships less than 2 weeks ago and won. Here, Mack, who was boxed out of his semifinal, didn't make the final with his speed, holds on and shows what he can do had he been able to get out of the box at the World Championships. Look at this battle down the stretch. David should have leaned maybe a little bit more, but that's excellent time. He's run several 144s. He's been very consistent this year.
Mack, the winner, 144.62 of a second. Fullback in second, and Nadiwa of Kenya in third. And Robinson edged out for the fourth spot. He ran a good race. He was tough at the beginning, but it was Mack of the United States who did it. And here's a take a look at Mack on the outside, Robinson in the middle, and Nadiwa. And Fullback is behind and making his move to the outside.
James Robinson, in the middle of your screen in red, I should say, in defense of his, had an ankle injury which bothered him prior to the World Championships.
How many chains does he have around his neck?
I don't know, but
that's got to weight you down a little bit, doesn't it?
It's slowed him down in the home stretch when fatigue comes into play. But the European champion, to give you an idea, Hans-Peter Ferner, is the man in the beard, and he's not even up in the top 4. So that's how good a quality field this is.
Peter Scowcroft, trackside, and of course we're going to go back and have Peter speak with both Carl Lewis and Calvin Smith.
Well, Calvin, you did it in the 100 and now the 200. How are you feeling?
Well, I feel very good. I felt pretty good in the 200, which I think I ran an excellent race. I wanted to run the turn hard, and I did that, and I just, powered my way with the sprint I had down the straightaway.
Under 20 seconds.
Yes, I was very glad to go under 20 seconds. It's my first race under 20 seconds. I'm just happy that I've done that.
You must feel happy. Carl, how did you feel the race went for you?
Well, for me, I don't think I ran the turn that I wanted to. Calvin ran an excellent turn. He was inside of me, and he couldn't have run a better race. And the thing is that we're all so close and technical, and Calvin is the world champion, so you don't have to run an excellent race in order to try to run with him.
Yeah. But do you feel you did anything wrong in the race, tactic wrong?
Well, I felt I could have run the turn a little bit better, but the thing is that Calvin ran an excellent turn. I think he ran very well. I knew he'd be tough to run against today after his 100 meters. And I just wanted to run a tough turn. I was unable to do that, and there's no way you're going to run Calvin down.
Once he's got a leg on you.
Well, that's the way it is, because he's an excellent sprinter.
Well, I must say the performance of both of you, and also you've got, I don't know, you've got medals, you've got records coming out of everywhere. What are you going to do with all of them?
Well, basically, I just want to go back and savor them now. It's been a summer where Calvin and I have run against each other, and we were able to love and cherish each other in the relay. So we feel good about it, and he's probably the nicest person on the circuit. And I'm just glad that the year's gone the way it has.
I don't know, 3 goals. Did you miss the long jump tonight?
No, I didn't. I sat up and watched for one of the few times, and I'll be looking forward to Brussels where I'll long jump again and then back to Houston.
Okay. And Calvin, where do you go from here?
Well, I go to Brussels. I run the 100 in Brussels and then to Cologne, which I probably only run the 100 there also.
A magnificent performance from you tonight. Carl, I've not had a chance to congratulate you about Helsinki. Fantastic performance in athletics. Marvelous.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased with America.
Again, it's 2 full laps around a 440-yard track. There's Carl Lewis.
And this was a no jump. It was, well, you see, he made his penultimate step was extremely long, and so as a result, he just bailed out of it. And that's smart because he doesn't want to hurt himself. Back to you, Larry.
Ralph, in the high jump, they'd say he'd no height. Time for the quarter, 57.1 seconds. Kind of slow. They're playing into the hands of Belger. If he moves quickly, he has good speed, not great. He is catchable in many ways. He used to race battles against Don Paige, and Paige had the superior speed. Let's see if he forces the pace to take the kick out of these guys.
But he seems to be trying now, but Koich isn't ready to let him have it yet. But in the meantime, Larry, the whole pack is now caught up, and they're bunched again, and so this is going to make for a really tough race now.
Well, it's going to be an interesting finish. There goes Mack moving up, and he's known as a good kicker.
Oh, yes. And Koich, again, won't let anybody pass.
All of these runners have run 800 meters at between 146 and 147 seconds. Belger cannot afford to let Mack get too far in front. It's going to be a heck of a kick race here.
And I think it's all the starch has gone from Koich. It's got to be Belger and Mack now with a gun to go.
800-meter split, 154.7.
It's not bad at all.
Let's see who's got the speed here.
Looks like Belger now.
All that strength work is paying off that he did in the fall. Let's see if he can hold the lead. Mark Belger on the outside, the defending NCAA 800-meter champion on the inside. It's Belger today at 1,000 meters. I think that's his best distance, even more so than 1,000 yards, about a football field shorter in distance.
I think it was certainly a smart race on Mark Belger's part. He let David Mack take the lead with 1 lap to go and then just kind of drafted him until the last turn and then kicked in and won the race handily.
Very fine time, unofficially 2 minutes, 21 and 1/10 of a second. for Mark Belger at 1,000 meters.
And here you see the replay coming around the final turn. Mark Belger has bolted into the lead and just powering on to win, and David Mack hanging on for second place.
Ralph, at the time unofficially stands up. It's the second fastest time run by an American this year in competition at 1,000-meter distance. Our congratulations to former Villanova star, NCAA champion, Mark Belger.
And this is Billy Olson in the pole vault. He's been vaulting well lately. You see he's taking the wrap off of his right leg. Maybe that means something. On this vault, however, it didn't. He's not very pleased at himself. Obviously not. And I don't really know, Larry, about people wearing wraps and taking them off and wearing wraps and taking them off. This is a world record, 19 feet 3/4 of an inch if he makes that.
Number 3, Tom Harvard, 3:56.48. He was our last.
And here it is again, and it gets started. Doesn't like the bend of the pole, kind of bails out of it. He's not hurt. He's got a couple of, at least one more attempt at 19 feet 3/4 of an inch. Let's take it down to Leandra Rowley.
Mark Belger is our winner, unofficially 2:21 1/10 in the 1,000-meter event. Now, you were not exactly out in front. In fact, you really waited to the last minute to decide you wanted to win this. Was that your intentional strategy?
No, not really. I was a little tired from running Friday in the American Championships, and it was kind of a quick race. I think that's a personal record for me. You know, 2:21.5 was a record for me, so I'm actually pretty pleased I beat David Mack. He's a good runner.
Okay, at the very end of the race, you really came on strong. Did your strength training pay off? But first, let me break into this just a little bit here. We're seeming to going. I think we're going to go to the videotape. If not, at any rate, you can tell me about your strength training and how it influenced your finish.
I'd rather congratulate Ray Flynn and Eamon Coughlin and Steve Scott on their mile.
But how about your training, though, for the 1,000? How did you affect such a tremendous change in your performance, dropping 4/10?
I've been working on a lot of speed, and the speed's been turning into some good strength. So the prolonged speed that I've been using has been helping out.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark Belger. Our congratulations to you as well as Eamon Coughlin and Ray Flynn. And gentlemen, we'll be back with more field and track events.
5,000. Let's get down to Leandra Riley. Leandra?
I am standing here with Billy Olson, who has just completed his performance in the pole vault this evening. Your final attempt at 19 3/4 was just off. Maybe you could tell us what happened.
Well, I think it's just a sort of a matter of exhaustion. Really, I'm pretty tired. The last jump was pretty respectable. I felt pretty good about it. I got a lot of speed on the runway that I didn't have on the previous jumps, and you know, I thought I might have had a chance, but I felt tired when I started going up, and I knew I was in trouble.
All right, you had a couple of attempts at 19 3/4. Do you think it is attainable?
Oh, no question. I had several jumps. Well, the jump I had last night in the garden on my first attempt was a tremendous jump. I was about 4 inches over the bar, and I just barely nicked it off. So, you know, it's going to come, and outdoors I think it's going to go up several more inches. It's not just going to be, you know, a couple of centimeters. I think we're going to put it on up there.
All right, let's hope you're the one who does it. 18 6 3/4, Billy Olson in the pole vault. But now let's go back.
Annual Ivo van Damme Memorial at Heysel Stadium in Brussels, Belgium. And Ivo van Damme, Larry, a great distance runner from Belgium.
Roger, he was. He had an illustrious career. However, it was tragically cut short. The man on the right of your screen was a soccer player till the age of 18. And he watched Dave Waddle win the 800 meters at the Olympics with a baseball cap, and he too took up the sport. And in 1976, it wasn't Waddle, it was Ivo van Damme chasing in the 1,500 meters here, John Walker from New Zealand to the tape. He had the fastest finish of 1:50 and 8/10 of a second of all the contestants in the race, surprised everyone with a silver medal. At 6'3", 185 pounds, he was a strikingly powerful figure in a race. Look at the tape. Ivo van Damme was just then 22 years of age. On the backstretch here, chasing Alberto Wantarina and Rick Waldhuter in the 800-meter race, it was again surprising everyone as he tried to fight up from a bronze medal to silver, Ivo van Damme. Steve Ovett, the great miler, never beat Ivo van Damme. John Walker said of him, he will be the middle distance runner of the future. He was tragically killed in an automobile accident returning from a training camp in December of 1976 from the south of France. Ivo van Damme, the gift of pride to his country, has never been forgotten.
And we get set now for the 800 meters at this Ivo van Damme Memorial. The world record by Seb Coe of Great Britain, 141 and 73/100ths of a second, and Rick Wohlholder of the United States, 143 and 9. And in this particular competition, Larry, we have a couple of young men from the United States, David Mack, Don Paige, and James Robinson. And as we take a look at the field, Peter Elliott of Great Britain. That's a famous sounding name, isn't it? Steve Ovett, Rob Droopers, David Mack, James Robinson, James Mena, Don Paige, Nadiwa of Kenya, and Peter Peerless of New Zealand.
Roger, this is an outstanding field. Excuse me. I'd like to also say that the excitement being generated now by the 800 meters, so many runners are running 144. The competition is so keen that in the stands in Helsinki you could feel it. There was a stir when the 800 meters came to the line. And there's an intensity in this struggle that I want to say has been somewhat absent. There's Steve Ovett. And it's interesting that he's running the 800 meters now, and in the past, both Seb Coe and Steve Ovett avoided each other. Now the word is avoid right now Steve Cram. And he's down at 800 meters, Cram's running 1,500 meters, and because he has the reputation, neither of them want to lose.
Ovett is number 105, and also watch Peter Elliott, 103. The Brits represented by those two men in this particular competition. As we mentioned, David Mack of the United States, James Robinson, and Don Paige.
Paige is on the outside, and he is in lane 7 at the moment in red. He's had his problems with injuries this year. He's had some good races. He's been a little less consistent this year than in the past. And, of course, he's working back for a shot on our Olympic team. He was ranked number 1 in the world in 1980.
103 is Peter Elliott there. There is Ovett, number 105. Rob Droopers.
James Robinson. This is going to be a dandy of a race.
I think it will be.
They're exciting. These guys go out, and in the Zurich meet, the split for the first 400 meters was 50 and 75/100ths of a second.
Larry, whenever you have an athlete the caliber of an Ovett, that immediately gets everybody else set up.
It does. There's no question. The adrenaline's really pumping. In second place right now, behind the rabbit, is Rob Droopers, the tall, lanky, 6'1" young man. He's only 21 from Holland, and he's really come on in the last year to be a force. Ranked among the top 5 800-meter runners in the world last year.
Right now, James Robinson of the United States is running in dead last.
As is his custom.
Yes.
Now, you see, it's interesting here. Let me set this up for everybody. The guy in second place, Droopers, knows he doesn't have, in the last 100 meters, a raw sprint off a slow pace. 51:28 is good time. And so what Droopers is doing is feeling that he can rely on his strength. He doesn't have the speed of Ovett to kick, so he's going to make them catch him.
Ovett right now moving up as he is in the 6th position, now moving up to 5th. The rabbit has dropped out of the race, which leaves Droopers in front, and he is just moving away. Droopers and number 103, Peter Elliott of Great Britain, in second place at the present time, with Ovett coming up from behind.
Roger, the fearlessness of youth. At age 21, he gets out there and says, all right, you stallions, you big names, you come get me. And look at this. Look at, he's blowing these guys away. They're going to have I don't think they can catch him here.
Ovett is starting to make his move on fellow countryman Elliott, but there is no way they're going to catch the man from the Netherlands, and that is Rob Droopers in the 800 meters. David Mack of the United States closing from the outside, but it is going to be Droopers, Ovett, Elliott, and Mack finishes 4th, and Droopers just took it right from the start, Larry, and he stayed with it till the end.
Roger, we have 600 meters to go, and again, I wish to reiterate, he knew what he was doing. He kept the pace up, he put the pressure on, and these guys like Robinson and Ovett and David Mack to some extent, who like to kick and feel they can run people down, this is the way to beat them. If you've got an athlete in your local league competition that you run against that feels that he's a kicker, this is the way to do it to him. You take him out, you run an even, hard pace, and you try and take the sting out of his kick.
How much did the rabbit have to do with setting Droopers up in this race? I think he did a good job for him.
He did a good job. The pace was right in many ways.
Very tough competitor. He's a very good competitor. You know, we're pretty well evenly matched by this stage of our lives.
And here's how 6-time national champion James Robinson evaluates Don Paige.
Don Paige is a threat. He shows that he could run 1,500 mile, 800. You have to watch out, definitely watch out for him.
After 5 straight national championships, the thrill hasn't dimmed for saber fencer Peter Westbrook.
You get this tremendous satisfaction of self-accomplishments with physical exertion, plus winning. It's just like a natural high.
The Sports Palace is an American weightlifting sanctuary, according to Bruce Wilhelm.
The best factor is that you have Jim Schmitz, who's the coach. He has really dedicated his life to Olympic lifting. He spent a tremendous amount of his own time with all lifters, whether they lift for him or not.
These stories and more as Budweiser presents The Road to Los Angeles. It was more than a half-century ago that the world's athletic elite first converged on the glamour capital of the world for the pinnacle in sports, the Summer Olympics. Today, a new generation strain, strive, compete for their place on the road to Los Angeles. With your host, Steve Garvey, field correspondent Jim Hill, and contributing reporter Carolyn Burns.
Road to Los Angeles is brought to you in part by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1984 U.S. Olympic team. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be.
Hi, I'm Steve Garvey, your host for The Road to Los Angeles. Today, field correspondent Jim Hill introduces us to the contrasting lifestyles of two veteran 800-meter rivals.
Yet are dramatically different in many ways. One is coached by a former professional football player, while the other now coaches himself. One is assertively aggressive, the other coolly calculating. But both James Robinson and Don Paige have this in common. Both view 1984 as probably their final chance at Olympic glory. But it certainly won't be their final chance to compete against each other. They've done it dozens of times already. And at this year's Olympic trials, they'll probably do it again. James Robinson is the product of the Bay Area, born and raised in Oakland's inner city, not far from where he lives today. It's from this base that he climbed to the top of the 800-meter pack with 6 national titles. 5 of them consecutively from 1978 to 1982.
I never left home. You know, I travel around a lot, go to the meets, and I always come back to where I originate. You know, there's a saying, there's no place like home, and there's my family, my friends, and my relatives. You know, all my immediate family is right there in the general area. I grew up there, and that's just where I've been, so that's like the only place I know.
Don Paige has also stayed close to past triumphs. The last of the late Jumbo Elliott's great Villanova runners, Paige won a rare double at 800 and 1,500 meters at the 1979 NCAA Championships.
I moved out into the country for a couple of reasons. One, it's a more relaxing atmosphere when I go out for my long runs or for my morning runs. I get the scenery, I get the beauty of the weather and the rolling hills. I try to use it in 2 different ways. One's a motivating factor, like a lot of times if I'm coming up to a hill out on my easy run, sometimes I picture James Robinson right in front of me, and I run this hill harder and harder. I'm practically at a full sprint at the top of the hill. Before I know it, I'm like, oh, that was a good hill. I just ran a good workout today. So between the motivating and the relaxation that these long runs take place out on the countryside and through the hills and by the horses and the cows, I really enjoy it out in this area.
Across the continent, at Urban McClymonds High School, from which basketball's Bill Russell and baseball's Frank Robinson also graduated, James jogs with his mother, Dorothy Morris.
We're very close-knit. She kind of treats me more so like a kid, more so than the rest of my brothers and sisters, because I'm into running very seriously, and you know, she kind of watches over me, and you know, I'm not allowed to stay up late nights or go out at night, and if I do, you know, more than often, she's there waiting, you know, see what time I come in and see if anything happens, because I normally don't stay out late anyways. I don't lead too much of a nightlife.
I love to have my children with me as long as possible because, you know, I'm the only head of the house. And if he wants to go out, get him an apartment or something like that, I would help him. But if he chooses to stay home, he was welcome. I don't think I could be any happier, though, than I am right now.
Robinson's been an Olympian twice already.
When he first made the Olympics team, I think I cried more. I was so, you know, so happy, and because I never thought that he would have really, you know, gone that far. It's when he started out, because some nights, you know, his leg was cramped so much, and he would, you know, I would hear him in his room, you know, rolling and rubbing his leg. Sometimes he would call me and I would help. But when he gotten over that and won, you know, enough to go to the Olympics, I don't know, I just couldn't hold. I just went around telling everybody, and this just really just, my heart just bubbled over with joy.
Robinson's longtime competitor Don Paige has known his wife Carolyn since their days together at Villanova.
Don is very competitive in everything he does, and I am not as athletic as he is, so we cannot play tennis together. He gets very frustrated because I'm a mediocre tennis player, and I get very frustrated at him for not just relaxing and enjoying the game. So something like golf, we can enjoy together, but we're doing it separately.
Don't worry. You join the tour next year, no problem.
I guess, you know, the activities that we share together revolve a lot around his running. I enjoy going to the track meets. It's work for him, but it's enjoyment for me, and I like being there, you know, when something good happens, or, you know, he has a major victory, or he sets a record, and things like that. I think at first, you know, his dream for an Olympic gold was his personal dream, and he didn't feel that I could understand that. But I guess over the years, you know, that's kind of become my dream too.
I'm very fortunate because she understands me so well. She understands how important track is to me, and she's a big motivating factor behind me. She gives me a lot of moral support, and she's always there when I need her, which is very important for me.
Some experts feel that both Paige and Robinson missed their best chance at Olympic glory when America boycotted the 1980 Olympic Games.
James Robinson still feels he's like 21, 20, you know, maybe 19. I don't feel a day over either one of those ages. Maybe in the sprints, 29 might be a factor, but in the middle distance, longer distance, 29 is not a factor.
I'm 26 years old right now, and personally I think it's almost an ideal age for me. And I think I'm going to get even better and better. With each year, you mature a year, and with that maturity comes natural body strength. To get to my peak in '84, I have told myself that I will probably lose some races in 1983, because I've changed my philosophy a little bit for this year, and my first and foremost philosophy is to stay healthy.
Paige missed most of the 1981 and 82 track season due to a series of crippling injuries that have bothered him since shortly after he beat Robinson at the 1980 Olympic trials.
I started cycling around December of 1982, and I took on the cycle to help take some of the workload off of my running. Cycling helps prevent the injuries that I would normally incur, because this way I don't have to run as many miles on the roads, I don't have to do as many track workouts. So I've actually replaced running with the cycling. This way I get a better cardiovascular workout, and it keeps the stress off my legs, especially my lower legs, which I've had a lot of problems with in the past 2 years. Knowing your body is a very important aspect of being a world-class runner, I believe. It's knowing when to train hard, when to back off from training hard. It's the ability to listen to your body, knowing whether it's just tired from overtraining or whether the body is breaking down, whether an injury is coming on. If you can't understand what the body's trying to teach you and tell you, then you're going to become injured. And when you're injured, you cannot be a world-class runner.
Back with 800-meter runners James Robinson and Don Paige right after this.
One box? Adam, the complete computer system with 80K memory console, digital data drive, daisy wheel printer, and professional keyboard, all in one package. Adam, with a built-in word processing program.
Adam, move that paragraph. Okay, print.
A letter quality printer, even a super game system that plays all ColecoVision and new super games. Command the powers of Adam and program your future.
Dale Brinstad is a soldier with a dream, the '84 Olympics. His sport, the modern pentathlon, 5 grueling events. The Army is full of people who are striving to be all they can be. For specialist Dale Brinstad, that means striving to be the best in the world.
Be all that you can be. You can do it in the Army.
Long ago, in the distant future, where evil knights joust upon beasts of the air, you too must fly, joust, and retrieve the enemy's egg before it hatches, and beware the lava below. You can experience this world from the other side. It's called Joust, the arcade game, home now only from Atari. A video game? Hardly. Joust. You don't play it, you live it.
In Olympic bobsledding, our lives depend on our equipment. She's got to hold together under more G-forces than a space shot. The whole team pitches in, because coming down the run, this sled's all we've got.
The Olympics take teamwork, and Budweiser is proud to be part of that team.
This Bud's for you.
You're going to take 2 steps. Jim Hill back with 800-meter rivals Don Paige and James Robinson. Robinson coached at California's Los Medanos College until a cutback in funds all but eliminated the program.
Throw your hand back. As soon as you take the 2 steps, you blind, you turn around and throw your hand up.
I would like to get into coaching, preferably at a high school level. I'm hoping I could get back to McClymonds High School, my alma mater, and because I think I could help the program pretty well over there.
You messed up. Bill, you got to judge him, Bill.
It's been a lifelong love affair with athletics, according to his mother, Dorothy Morris.
When I step in it, then you take it.
Ever since he was small, he liked to play a lot. And I think this was one of the things that maybe that made him have such a perfect school record of going, you know, in school, because he loved to play, you know, and be around other kids so much.
Make sure you can aim at it. Stick. Just like that, okay? Again. Stick.
Across the country, rival Don Paige is an assistant coach at Villanova University, his alma mater.
About 24 seconds. When I graduated in May of 1980, I elected to stay around the Villanova area to be coached by Jumbo Elliott because I wanted to continue to run at the world-class level. Then a year later, Jumbo had died, and I still planned on staying around because I needed the teammates. Yeah. I need people to train with, and they're there for me. Granted, I help them by coaching them for what I know, but a lot of times my teammates don't realize how much they are helping me. They help me in a great deal because they actually allow me to train with them, and they pull me along in the workouts when the workouts are getting tough. So it is a two-way street. I help coach them, but then they turn around by letting me run with them, and they're getting me into shape, and I just enjoy that two-way street.
While Paige coaches himself, Robinson has been coached for the past 10 years by an ex-professional football player.
Dr. Proverbs Jacobs, he brought my time down from 151 in high school to 149.1 my first year. And then my sophomore year at Laney, he got me down to 145.7. I broke the national record for the 800 meters twice. I believe I still hold it. Since then, he became my advisor, my coach, a real good friend. Right now, he's handling basically what I do on the track and when I do it.
He's very coachable. He does everything I tell him to do. At times, he'll get mad, but he'll still do it. The next Olympic Games, James will be at his physical peaks so far as his maturity and strength is concerned. It's just a matter of him maintaining his zest for running. And I don't think he'll have any trouble doing this.
And rival Don Paige feels he won't have any trouble either, even though he's pretty much on his own working towards the 1984 Olympics.
One of the biggest assets that Jumbo taught us while we were at Villanova was how to coach ourselves. He practically drilled us into us. When Dick Berkeley graduated, when Eamon Coughlin graduated, when Marty LaQuarrie graduated, when Don Paige graduated, all the Villanova great runners, I guess, if that's the way you want to classify it, when they graduated, they all coached themselves. We never went back to our high school coaches, or we never took on a new coach. And we all still ran very successful after college. So I think it's a system that Jumbo has taught us how to coach ourselves and how to take care of ourselves so well that it carried over. So when we did graduate, we didn't have to worry about that.
James Robinson has won 6 800-meter national championships, Don Paige none. But Paige has the second fastest time in U.S. history and edged Robinson at the 1980 Olympic trials.
Don Paige is a threat. I don't feel he's a certain threat for me, but, you know, he's good. He established consistency. He shows that he could run 1,500 mile, 800. You have to watch out, definitely watch out for him. He's good.
James Robinson, he's a very tough competitor. He's a very good competitor. You know, we're pretty well evenly matched probably at this stage of our lives. It's really hard to say who's going to win each time we go out. It's whoever's in better condition. It's whoever's better prepared mentally or physically that particular day.
We train to be prepared for anybody and everybody. And that's one of the reasons why, getting to my tactics, I run from behind. I more or less control a lot of races because a lot of people in the race are more or less concerned and worried about where I'm at, you know, where I'm going to make my move at. And so they're not concentrating on what they're doing.
He is a sprinter, and I am more of a strength runner. He normally lays back and has a big finishing kick at the end. He's very fast over the last 200 meters, whereas I try to rely a lot on my strength, and I try to make him tired.
Appeals Court, well, they're moving up the ladder. The Federal District Appeals Court today ruled here in San Francisco that the NFL cannot interfere with the transfer of the franchise from Oakland to Los Angeles. That ruling was, well, because of the appeal by the NFL over the jury trial down in Los Angeles, which held in favor of the Raiders and the LA Coliseum. The circuit court agreed with the original judge, who said that the league was engaging in restraint of trade and was in violation of antitrust laws, not letting the Raiders leave Oakland. Now, the decision today leaves the league with no place to go except the United States Supreme Court. Joe Alioto, the attorney for the Raiders, was exuberant. I think crowing would have been a better description. We talked to him on the phone today. He said the NFL shouldn't bother with any more appeals or going to the appeals court. They should just settle out of court. They already owe them $60 million or so. Still talking about football, another league, another absurd contract given to play really minor league football. Double dropout Marcus Dupree today reportedly agreed to a $5 million, 5-year deal with the New Orleans Breakers, the United States Football League. There are some complications, though. The other 17 teams must agree that it's okay to take underclassmen. Speaking of big contracts, that fellow right there, number 99, is Mark Gastineau. He plays defensive end for the New York Jets. You may know him as the Dancing King. Well, Mark Gastineau today became the highest-paid defensive lineman in the NFL. No terms released of his contract, except he will give lots of money to the Heart Fund for every sack that he makes from now on. Interesting clause in his contract right there. I wonder if he gives any for the dances as well. Last night, a well-deserved and long-due award was announced. 400-meter hurdler Edwin Moses was named winner of the Sullivan Award. Outstanding amateur athlete in the year of 1983, and why not? There he is, lining up, ready to go at his specialty. The 400-meter hurdles, he just simply does not lose. He won 18 or 20 of those races last year, including the United States and the World Championships. He has now run 90 of these races in a row. He owns 9 of the top 10 best times ever recorded in that particular event. He is something else. Moses is now looking, of course, ahead to the LA Olympics. He was the gold medal winner in 1976 in Montreal, did not compete in 1980 in Moscow because of the boycott. Also a casualty of that 1980 boycott was the subject of tonight's Bay Area Gold Report. He's an athlete whose sights are set on the Olympics this summer. Former Cal star James Robinson is a true American champion as there can be. 5 times the U.S. title holder, 800 meters. Still in his prime and dreaming of golden glory. He's almost 30 years old. Bill Orwig has the profile tonight.
4 years ago in Moscow, Steve Ovett of Great Britain won the gold medal in the 800-meter run. One American who was scheduled to be in that race was Oakland's James Robinson. And even though it's been 4 years since the U.S. boycott, Robinson's Olympic dream has not diminished at all.
I have to go to get the gold medal. The gold medal is still waiting. The only way I can get there is to make the Olympic team. I have no problems with making the Olympic team unless somebody, you know, comes up. But then I don't think it's 3 Americans that can stop me from going.
One man who has helped Robinson to keep going is his coach of the last 10 years, Proverbs Jacobs.
His enthusiasm hasn't dimmed at all. He loves to win. He loves to compete. He just loves the sport.
Jacobs says that Robinson is right on schedule for the LA Games. He has trained well.
It's a matter of making sure that he peaks at the right time. That is, during the championship part of the year, which includes the TAC, you have the Olympic trials and Olympic Games. So that'll be about an 8-week period where he has to be sharp.
What do you say to the people that say, well, hey, maybe he's too old?
I just say wait and see. You know, I say you get better with age, so hopefully I'm getting better.
He's like vintage wine. He's getting better.
If it wasn't track, what would you be doing?
I would probably play basketball in the NBA.
2 things will happen in the next 6 months. 1, the NBA will have to wait. And 2, people will finally know just who James Robinson is. In Oakland, I'm Bill Orwig for News Center 4 Sports.
James is already in pretty good shape now, and he'll be running the Foot Locker Games, the Cal Palace, this Friday night. He has run the 600 meters all winter in the indoor games, and he's only 0.2 of a second off the world record there. He's ready. He's ready. All right.
Do you feel the need for something?
Ray Brown from the University of Virginia. Don Paige now running in 4th. The 1,000-meter run is not run in the Olympic Games. It's an unusual distance.
It's a good distance for Don Paige, though, as an 800-meter runner, but also one who can run a 354 mile. He can move up to the 1,000 quite easily. In fact, it probably is the perfect distance for him.
Right now, Koskei is in 3rd, and Paige has just moved by Koskei. Still Ray Brown in the lead. Bill Martin in 2nd place.
Normally, you wouldn't want to be where Paige is, out in that 2nd lane, but he wants to stay alert. If the pace falls down a little bit, he wants to be able to move into the lead.
Paige and Koskei.
Koskei's got a lot to make up here because Paige is really strong on the last lap.
Now the final turn. They're entering the final turn for the last lap of this 1,000-meter run. It's still Don Paige and Sammy Koskei, and it looks like it'll be that way. Koskei trying to put a move on Paige. The last few meters, and it is Don Paige and Sammy Koskei, and the clock, if it's correct, reads a new American record. No world record, but that man, Don Paige, in the 1,000-meter.
Hold off James Robinson, and they will not be able to do it. This is the James Robinson we've seen so many times. He runs not for a fast time, he runs to win. This is not a fast time. He was going into a strong headwind down the home straight, but James Robinson accomplished exactly what he wanted as he defeated John Marshall and Scott Davis.
Well, the important thing we saw was that John Marshall had the competitive fire that he had 2 years ago when he was such a phenomenal high school senior, and he's getting that fight back. He's had a hard time the last year, but it's great to see his confidence back, too.
Last 452.2 for James Robinson, and we'll be back with more of the National Sports Festival after this commercial and a word from our local stations.
Ready for high-performance photography, the Minolta X700 program system is ready for you. Computerized, motorized, systematized, total capability, from fully programmed where you set nothing, even with flash, to creative manual where you control everything. The high-performance Minolta X700, voted Camera of the Year on 2 continents.
only from the mind of Minolta.
We're back at Drake Stadium on the campus of UCLA, and in just a couple of moments we will be going to the men's mile. And Frank, this is the event that everyone looks forward to.
Especially since Steve Scott really does have to decide whether or not he wants to get out of Sebastian Coe's shadow. In the race also you have Mike Boyd, who beat Steve Scott last week in a downhill mile in New Zealand. So I think you're going to see Boyd being chased by Scott in the last lap. It's a question of whether or not he can be caught.
All right, so we've got a good one coming up. Stay with us. We'll be back live from UCLA with the men's mile and American record holder Steve Scott right after these messages.
In the world of driving, there is a name that is legend. The name is Dunlop, and the legend lives on the wheels of the world's finest automobiles. A legend proclaimed on racetracks and highways around the globe. Because the driver who knows tires demands the legend, Dunlop. The legend lives.
Volkswagen announces a new concept. Too much car for the money. Introducing the Wolfsburg Limited Edition Rabbit. Your choice of automatic or 5-speed stick with fuel injection, power steering, velour seats, and much, much more. This car should cost a small fortune, but now you can get this car for only $69.90. The Wolfsburg Limited Edition Rabbit.
It's a whole new game you're facing. Let's begin. Hey, it's mud you're in. It's gonna be Pepsi now. Oh, what a time. It's gonna be Pepsi now. What a time for living. It's gonna be Pepsi now. Winning taste is Pepsi. It's gonna be Pepsi now.
Time in the mile, 3:50. We are live at UCLA. The men's mile. The American record is held by Steve Scott. The world record is held by Sebastian Coe. The difference in that record is about a half of a stride. Here is a look at the field. We will see the American record holder, Steve Scott, and he will be in lane 1. Dr. Thomas Vessenhagen of West Germany will be in lane 2. Todd Harbour is in lane 3. Jim Spivey is in lane 4. We will see Frank Asuma in lane 5, Mike Boyd in lane 6. Treg Scott of Arizona State in lane 7 could well be the rabbit, the man to take it out, and Steve Lacey will be in lane 8. That is the field for the men's mile.
And the mile has gotten to the point, Charlie, where Steve Lacey may be the person to take it hard in the 3rd lap to try to set up the strong finish. So they're really trying to make this a fast race. You just saw a shot of Mike Boyd there. 34 years old, still running as well as he ever has. He's the eternal student. I'm not sure if he's got his doctorate yet, but he's been working his way through most of the universities in the United States, getting a degree from here and there, but he's really fit. And I don't think Steve Scott is quite up to top form yet, but it's going to be a great race between those two.
Now, Steve Scott with an American record. That is an awesome record, 3:47.69, but he gets no respect.
Well, Sebastian Coe is the only person to have run faster, and that's the way it goes. Thomas Vessenhagen in the mustache in the green, lane 2, he's also extremely good. He's run 3:50 for the mile. So if Vessenhagen is in good shape, he might surprise us as well.
All right, the men's mile, this will be 4 laps here, and it is Treg Scott of Arizona State that is going to take it out.
Steve Lacey in 2nd place, and Scott's way quick. They're letting him go, but he's probably a little bit excited, Treg Scott is, and he'll probably be 26 seconds at the 2:20, which is a little bit fast.
He would like to take it out in the neighborhood of the 1-minute mark, maybe 58, between 58 and 60 seconds. That is what we're looking for right now.
But Steve Lacey has run 3:54 for the mile. Extremely good. He's in 2nd place. He's got a very good sense of pace. Now, if the people in the back aren't careful now, they're about 30 yards behind. Lacey may steal this race. They better be extremely careful because Lacey has the ability to win this race.
And so in reality, we have 2 races going on at this point as Asuma is leading the 2nd pack. He is in 3rd.
57.4 for the 1st lap, right where they should be to run 3:51 or 3:52. So the people in the second pack. Mike Boyd kind of leading that second group. Frank Asuma out ahead here in third place. But again, they better get on the horse pretty quick or they're going to be out of this race.
Steve Scott goes through at a 60.8 for the quarter.
Well, that's fine. Last year he ran about 60 seconds.